And welcome to, I believe it is the 75th L4G news update with me, the host, Carol Dodsley, and we have, of course, the founder of Link4Growth with us, Chris Ogle.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, it's the end of another busy week this week, but I've had 4 or 5 weeks just sliding into each other. It's very difficult to keep up, unfortunately, but there you go.
Well, the good thing is that today is the longest day, so you have plenty of time today to catch up with everything.
Yeah, the weather's great too, so it'd be nice to be able to get out in it a little bit, but there you go.
Okie doke. So we have got a really full schedule for you today. Lots of things that Chris wants to share with everybody. And we are starting off with network expansion. Tell us about network expansion, Chris.
Right, okay, so last week we had 3 new events start. We had one up in Middlesbrough with Jerry Ridioff. That was on Tuesday morning, a coffee in the Gateway, which is just around the corner from the transporter over the River Tees, which I absolutely knew nothing about, but fascinated me, believe it or not. But anyway, more on that another day. We also had Hitchin Coffee, which was launched Friday at a local independent coffee shop in Hitchin High Street. Apparently that was really buzzing. Alex went along there to support Kate Griffiths and Jen Tiller, and that was a really successful event. And there was also a launch of a Luton coffee on the same day over at Marjorie's in Hightown in Luton, if you live that way and you know these districts. There's going to be some really exciting things happening in Luton as well, so watch out for that space. That's the third event we've got over there. It's a shame it's clashing with Hitchin though, because I think people would want to go to both of those, so we may move that to a different day.
Cool. So that's not just the announcements, we've also done the launches from last week. So what about new districts that we're launching?
Well, new districts coming up. I mean, I've got a list of like the different events that we've got in the pipeline, but we've got in Watford. We've got a new event in Moor Park, which is quite close to Northwood actually, but it isn't. I think it is classed as Northwood, but Moor Park's like a district within that. So we've got a coffee starting there at the end of July. We've moved our event in Presswood and Great Missenden from a local independent coffee shop, which to be honest was a bit tight on space, and we've moved it now to Missenden Abbey, which is a fantastic conferencing and wedding venue. And I nipped along there yesterday to have a look at it, and it's really very impressive. And if you check out the L4G Presswood and Great Missenden community on Google Plus, I put some pictures up that I took yesterday. It was glorious weather as well, so really good there. So that's
on that one that you were talking about there on the Abbey, Chris, can we also put some pictures into this event for people so that if they're listening to the event and the recording, they know they can go to the community, but they also can see some of those pictures straight away as well?
Yeah, you mean add them as comments to the event, or add them as pictures?
We can actually add them as pictures to
Yes.
live onto this event, so that it brightens the event up, as well as the fact of people being able to see things. And we can also add the link to that community page for people, because not everybody knows where all the communities are actually sitting, and sometimes they don't go and do a search. So the more details we can give people, the easier we can make it for everyone.
Yeah, okay, no problem. We can do that. We've also got an L4G tea which is a new event for Link4Growth. But we had breakfast, we had lunches, we had coffees, we've got drinks, but there's nothing in the afternoon. So what more than, what a brilliant thing for Link4Growth to have, which is a high tea type thing. Now, this Abbey does actually do, Missenden Abbey does do high teas, and so we're going to do one of those as a sort of trial 2 weeks after the coffee. So that's another event that's coming up there. We've got another event up in the West Midlands in Rugby, which is going to be starting soon. I also talked to somebody about getting an event going in Leicester. I know there are things going on about new events in Northampton. We've got events going on, talking and discussion about stuff in Newcastle. And I believe that we're kind of nailing down a date now for the launch of Penrith which I think is going to be the first week of August. I know that Jerry and Jenny were talking about that yesterday. So loads happening there. Croydon, Orpington, Braintree launching in a couple of weeks. That's on American Day of Independence. Saltburn, it was the 9th of July. It's been moved to the 16th of July for a few reasons. Richmond, which is up there in that neck of the woods as well. Bradford and Halifax, I've been notified that a date is being firmed up there for a launch there. And Colchester as well. So there's loads going on. I mean, there's more than that, but in the interest of time, I've probably said enough.
I know there's just always so much, isn't there? And especially right now, this is the time where Link4Growth is really expanding so fast, and there's so many people that are getting really excited about it and thinking, well, I want to start something, I want to start something. And obviously, if people go across to the communities, if they go to the Google Plus pages, and if they go over to the Link4Growth forum and website, you can find out all the details about absolutely everything that is happening over there as well. So, you know, that sort of leads on to growing our districts, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I've had a few conversations this week with different people. This is the second week consecutively I've done over 1,000 miles. So, and I've written a book as well. I was doing 2,500 miles over the last 2.5 weeks. But going around talking to people, it's really, really interesting. And one of the things that I've been asked is, what is the purpose of the G Plus communities? Why are they there, and what's the reason for them? And I suppose the way I've explained it to some people is I've said, look, if you were going to Redcar for a weekend, or you were going up there on business and you had to stay over, the first thing is, where should I stay? Well, that's the first question. And the second question might be, where's a good place to eat? Where would the local people eat when they're going up there? And also, maybe you'd want to visit something up there. Where should I go? What should I see? Now, as far as I can see, there's nothing out there at the moment that answers those questions for you. Nothing, unless you know someone in the town. But what if you don't know anybody in the town? And I remember saying to myself when I was travelling around, I wonder where the locals eat. Or I'd like to do something that's kind of local to the place I'm going to and is kind of colloquial. And there's no way you can find it. So the communities that we're building on Google Plus are for that purpose. It's for the local people to say what's going on locally, and to put stuff up about good places they've been to, things that are positive about the place that they live in, and actually raise the vibe of the town. And if you are going to Redcar, you can now see things that are happening in Redcar, and people are posting things up there which are things that they know about because they live there and they're really positive about it. So that's what the communities are really there for.
And it's also, you know, like you said there, you can go on obviously Google Local and do a search and find places, but by having the Google Plus communities as part of Link4Growth, people can actually talk to people. So it's taking that a bit further. It's not just searching and being given an address and a name of something and a few pictures. You can actually go in and say, hey, you know, where would be a good place? You can get to know people before you actually go as well. And if you're living there, because what I find is quite often people that live in an area, in a local community, have no idea about some of the real gems in their community because they just don't happen to have walked down that street, or they just don't happen to have seen it, and they're sort of going to the places they already know and missing out on actually exploring and finding new places. And we tend to do that where we live. We don't explore the way we would as a visitor, do we?
No, and I mean, I've kind of now noticed that I'm giving these people who live in these places a little bit of a new perspective on where they live, and they're getting more positive about the places that they live in. And I guess that's my luxury, is that I'm from the outside looking in and saying, look at all these wonderful things you've got. And I think gratitude and really understanding where you live and the beauty of it, you're kind of just getting on with your daily life, and you're not consciously appreciating what's going on around you. And I think this is kind of a really interesting period in human development as we kind of re-engage with where we are.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Something I've always thought, when people go for a walk, they tend to look straight ahead or look down. And if you just look up, you would actually probably be amazed at some of the beautiful structures and things that are around you that you just don't notice.
I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. I'm out with my camera, on my phone, mobile phone, snapping pictures of everything and anything, and people must think I'm some kind of crazy. But putting those pictures and bringing those towns to life is so important. It really is, and that's really the beauty of these communities, is that we can do this, and we can all do it if we want to. We've just got to have a slightly different mindset. Instead of going out and just doing stuff, say, what could I share in my community that other people might like, and then just take a picture and put it up. Easy.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, if you're somebody that has something really special or something that you think, people love this, then share about your own things as well.
Yeah. So that's one of the tools, and it's about getting that excitement going about community and really rebuilding it. And I've just been over to the Bowls Club in Watford. That's where I went for an hour before the show, and I just took a couple of pictures of them bowling over there. Now I know that 99% of the people in Watford will have never ever been to that Bowls Club. Right? And what is it? A couple of seconds to take a couple of pictures and put them up there, and it gives that Bowls Club a bit of publicity as well. So, it's not difficult when you just have a mentality of doing it.
Exactly, and it's all about adding value for yourself, for people around you, and for people that have not yet met you. And it really is, I tend to liken Google Plus and Google Communities as real life. And I say to people, think about if you're walking down the street and you stop and you chat with someone, what would you chat about? If they asked you, hey, I fancy going somewhere, where are you going this weekend? You would tell them where you were going. You would suggest places. You say, hey, have you heard about this? And when you're in a Google Plus community, it's exactly the same. It's not about being online and sharing stuff that's irrelevant. It's actually about having the same connections and the same conversations that you would have in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the communities is one thing, but another thing that I know, because I've been out there talking to lots of people all over the country, is how can you ask, how can you tell people about Link4Growth? How can you explain it to them in a way that perhaps they would want to hear about it? And the CSI Watford thing that I know you're aware of through Alex, but the CSI, which stands for Community Student Initiative, that project is about of involving other parts of the community that might not necessarily see Link4Growth for them. So, for example, the colleges have real difficulty finding work placements. So this project is easing that problem. The second thing is the students don't have anything really tangible that they can apply the skills they're learning in the classroom to real life projects that are going on. And we know that local charities are invisible. They have no money for marketing, and they just can't get their message out there, but they're doing great work. And you've got local independent businesses who, I tried to find places I could buy local produced milk and locally produced meat. And you know what? It's a real struggle. You can't find these things for love nor money. So they're invisible, but they're there. You just have to really work hard. Now, for these people to be successful, we shouldn't be working that hard. We have to be able to find them far easier. So by taking the students, taking the applied knowledge that they've got, applying it to raising the profile of these charities and these businesses, we can then represent them in these Google Plus communities and start increasing their visibility. And there are no losers. It doesn't cost anything for the businesses or the charities. The students get involved in a really positive project, and the people who are trying to find work placements for the students have a real big headache taken off their hands. And the winners, the community, because we're engaging the students in the community. People are starting to see these young people as being real positive contributors, and the whole thing is just re-energizing our communities, and it just means a lot of different people can get involved.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the keys, is the fact that this is all inclusive. This isn't about certain people and only a little group. This is about absolutely everybody, and there's something in Link4Growth for absolutely everybody. It's just down to how much do you want to be involved. But you were talking there about engagement and visibility and everything, which actually leads us on to the next topic that we've got for today, which is actually the Link4Growth TV channel. What is that and what's it for?
Well, bearing in mind all the things we've just been talking about, what we need to be able to do is get the message out there, and get the message out there across the nation, but in a way that is easy for people to find and consume. So by introducing the TV concept, which is really, excuse me, just using YouTube, which is localized to the particular district involved, and setting up the relevant playlists, which effectively are categories for local news or entertainment or whatever it happens to be. What we can do is we can start to give local people exposure in a way that we were never able to do that before. So, for example, I know you did the TV show for Watford yesterday with Alex, and this is a platform for Alex to establish himself as a district leader locally, but it also gives him something that he can offer to local people, whether it be the MP for Watford, which was the week before, or whether it's a local person doing local good work in a charity, or whether it's a project that a school's got on, or whether it's it could be entertainment that's happening. There's a lot of things happening around where I am today. There's something in Hatfield, there's something in Croxley, there's something in Castlebury Park. There's loads of stuff going on, and the circulation of the newspaper is going down. So what we really need to be able to do is communicate all this stuff in a much more easy to consume manner, that people don't have to go hunting down. It's there for them in the community alongside everything else that we've been talking about.
Yeah, and there's a lot more coming on that as well that I know we're not going to share today, but we will be sharing very soon, because we have some very exciting things happening with that TV channel. So let's just tell me, Chris, you said earlier that you've done over 1,000 miles again this week. Now, obviously, we don't have all day for you to tell us every single place you've been, but where were you last week, and what was so great about it?
Well, I mean, I've been absolutely every hour of every day last week was full up with something. Every hour, I mean, from 6 in the morning until pretty much midnight was full up with something. And I love what I'm doing, so it doesn't feel like work, and that's the amazing thing. But I started off Monday in London at breakfast, and then went straight on to which I'll talk about in a minute, the BITC Connect conference, which had 400 people there, and all of these people are operating in the community, either as charities or doing not-for-profit work. So an amazing place to be amongst. And I was joined there by Nikki Pepper from the Cambridgeshire district, and we had a really good time there, talking to all sorts of people, and some fantastic connections coming out of that. Then I drove up from there. I came back to Watford and then drove up to Middlesbrough. So I got there about 10 in the evening. Stayed over there, had the opportunity to catch up with Jerry, and then the following morning went to Middlesbrough for the breakfast, and then I drove back to Peterborough for the drinks in the evening, and then got back to Watford. Then the next morning Hemel. Then I had a few one-to-ones in the afternoon, and then I finished the book, which I'll talk about later, on Wednesday evening, and then on Thursday I was in Cardiff, and then Cwmbran, and then came back for drinks in Watford, and then on Friday I had a business breakfast event, and then I had 2 Link4Growth meetings that I attended, and then I had a couple of hangouts. That was it. The week was ended, but it was a full week.
Sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm sure during that week there's going to have been people that have sort of come to your attention. There's going to be people that have really given you some great help or done some fantastic things. So have we got any shout outs or credits for this week?
Yeah, I want to just say a big congratulations really to Alex, who, it's a tough gig inheriting a district, right? It's not easy to take on somebody else's district, because those connections become quite personal. What Alex has done is he's agreed to step up and take on the South West Herts district, which is my old district, and he's starting to now really get his feet under the table and make those connections of his own, because it's what's got to happen. That he's driving it forward now, not me. So a big shout out to him really, and well done. And I'm expecting some amazing things from him in the coming months. So well done to him. I want to say a big thanks to Jerry for getting the launch in Middlesbrough sorted out, but she's also helping other people in that neck of the woods. She's actually providing some support to other districts. It's a long, long way from London up there, but Jerry's much closer, so she's sort of supporting me up there and helping with other things. So many, many thanks to her. I want to say a big thanks to Nikki, because, and this is a really interesting one, Nikki knew a lady called Rosie Garwood for many, many years before, well, I even knew Nikki, to be honest. And it's that connection that Nikki kept, waiting for something that they could perhaps collaborate on, that materialised about a year and a half ago. And as a result of that, we were at that BITC Connector thing on Monday, both of us. The relationship with the Prince's Trust, which is what BIT is part of, has grown from strength to strength, and there's some really good work. And I just, it just goes to show you that keeping those connections open and having due diligence to do that is so vital, because you never know where they're going to end up. And that a big shout out to her. I want to give a big shout out to Deepa as well, Deepa Kotak, District Leader for London and more than one district there, and helping grow that in London, because she does a huge amount of stuff behind the scenes that people never see. And she does a load out front as well, but she's done a load of stuff behind the scenes as well. So I know that sometimes that stuff goes unheard of and unrewarded and unrecognised, but I just want to give her full credit, because without her activity in that area, Link4Growth wouldn't be like it is. And she takes a lot of stuff off me as well, which is brilliant. And I want to give a big thanks to Kate Griffiths. Kate's been in Link4Growth for about a year, and she launched with her friend Jen Tiller on Friday the Hitchin event over the Hitchin Coffee, and it really, really went well. And that's just testimony really to how good that relationship has become and how close the thinking is. She's into mindfulness and whole self type of activity, and it really is the same thing as Link4Growth, but if you like, she can now take a lot of those things that she does into Link4Growth, and she can really start to help people up there. So big thanks to her. And the last one is Claire Pilikian, who's been single-handedly building Elstree and Boreham Wood with absolutely no support from me, which I've been derelict in my duties there, because it's not far from me, but there's a lot going on that day that she has that event. But I managed to get down there and be part of that event this week. But I just want to say a big thanks to her, because she's really finding her feet now. She's really started to sort out her health, which was a big problem for her, and she's really feeling like she's buzzing now, and that's really, really nice to see. So big thanks to her as well.
Cool. That was a lot of shout outs this week, but it is, and I think it is important, it's not just about what people see, it's about what people don't see as well. So I think that was really great that you included people that nobody has any idea of some of the work they're doing in the background, or the things that they're actually going through and overcoming to be able to add value. So let's move on to education and learning. What do you want to share about that, Chris?
Right, okay. I was doing a little bit of an education slot on Friday morning, which was off the back of having a conversation with somebody up in Middlesbrough earlier in the week. And one of the biggest issues that the majority, and it is the majority of people have, is to do with social media. And in order to help people understand the importance of social media, most people recognise that when they're representing their organisation, whether it's a business or a charity or whatever it is, one of the things they have to do, or they think they have to do, is sell what they're doing, the concept, or just sell their business or whatever it is to get over to people what they're doing. And the biggest thing that I'm trying to help people understand is that the days of selling are coming to an end. What you have to be able to do is network like an expert, both offline at things like our coffees and stuff like that, but also online. And the way you network online is through social media platforms. And the problem that most people have got is they believe that those social media platforms are all pretty similar, and they have to pick one that they like the most and run with it. And what I've been trying to explain, and the reason they do that is because they don't believe they have time to represent themselves on all those platforms. And this is a misnomer. This is a concept that's not right. The problem that they've got is that they don't understand what each of the platforms are there for, so they don't understand what they can do because they're all different. And then they don't get competent with using them, and they don't have a strategy for what they're trying to use each of those platforms for. And then once they get competent with those things, the last thing is integrating it into their daily lives, because it's only by using these things in your daily life that they don't become an additional burden to your daily work content, and that's the key. But because I don't do much time set aside for social media, but I do a lot of social media, and people say you're always on it. Well, I can't be always on it because most of the time I'm either driving or at an event. So I use social media as part of my day. I say where I am. I say who I'm talking to. It's just part of what I do. It's like eating or drinking. It's part of what I do. And that's why the education platform that we've set up is being set up. It's to enable people to be able to become proficient on that, because I reckon it's less than 5% that actually use them properly. And in order for people to belong, they have to participate. And if they can't participate, they can't belong. So it's about getting people over that hurdle. And that really is one of the major reasons why we need this education platform, to give people the opportunity to improve this.
Cool. And what have we got coming up sort of in the short term? I know in the long term we always have a 3-month rolling program of programs, and you can find all of that information over on the Link4Growth website. If you go to the website, there's a tab at the top that says training. Go in there and you can find all of the information. You can also get in touch with a district leader, and if it's anything to do with Google Plus training or Hangouts training, feel free to get in touch with me, because that's one of my bits. But what have we got, anything specific coming up like within the next week or so, Chris?
Yeah, we've got the blogging workshop is Monday. I didn't mention blogging in my diatribe just now, but the blogging, there are a lot of people blogging. There's a lot of people blogging that don't know why they're blogging. So on Monday we have that. That's up in Peterborough. That's physical, so you'd have to get to Peterborough. We've got a Facebook one. I think it's on Thursday next week, so you can still book into that. And also the following Tuesday we've got an accelerated LinkedIn program starting, which is the 2nd of July, and I think it might be the Wednesday actually. But anyway, those are the 3 immediate ones. But yeah, as you say, just check on the website, because all of them are on there, and people should be just booking themselves into whatever they feel like they need to start off with. But they're all there. Cool.
So what have we got, anything new on subscriptions this week or anything, Chris?
On the subscriptions, yeah, what I want to do is if you go into the forum, in the say hello, welcome, new here forum, the top thread, which is a pinned thread at the top, talks about what benefits you can have from being a subscriber. But I want to just pick on individual ones as I go through, because we haven't got time for all of them. But one of them I want to pick up on is sound bites. Now, the reason I'm picking up on that is because I know you did a soundbite with Alex yesterday, and my soundbite is overdue, but I'm hoping to get my connection sorted out before I do that. But a soundbite is an opportunity for somebody who is a subscriber to have a 20-minute interview and get their message. It's not a sales pitch, but get the message of what they're passionate about over to a much wider audience. So it's essentially like, it'll go on the national TV program, on the national TV channel as well. So this is a real opportunity to get your face and your passion out to a much wider audience, and it stays there forever. So it's not going to go away. And I can't understand why anybody wouldn't want to do this. But the good news is that I've managed to squeeze myself out of the role of doing this, and you, Carol, are now going to be doing the sound bites. And sort of yesterday was a transformational moment, because a soundbite took place and I wasn't involved.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to doing more sound bites with people. I want to add a little bit to that as well, because it's not just about you get visibility through Link4Growth, but these sound bites are done using Google Hangouts. And for anyone that's a bit worried and thinking, but I don't want to be live on air, don't worry, because when we do the soundbite, we will be doing it privately. So you'll be able to look back at the soundbite and check it out and make sure you're happy with what you said, what you shared, how you looked, your lighting, everything else. You can check it all out before we put it live and actually share it with people. And the other thing is, it's a YouTube video. And YouTube videos have embed codes and share codes, which means that you can take your soundbite and you can actually use it in your own promotional and marketing material. So to me, the sound bites are an absolutely massive benefit of becoming a subscriber with Link4Growth.
So that's it really. Yeah, I mean, good points you've made there, and yeah, I mean, we've done quite a few, but nowhere near enough. So come on, people, get in contact with Carol, and let's get these ramped up. I'm definitely going to do mine, but we'll wait till my connection's a little bit improved before we do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep saying to Chris, I will not do a soundbite with you until you get your connection sorted out. So that's me that's telling Chris he's not allowed to do a soundbite yet.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, we both said okay at the same time. Right, we are coming towards the end of our content-packed program this week. So, do you want to tell us about are there any special events or anything in particular to look out for that's coming this week, Chris?
I'll just run through very briefly what we've got. Monday, we've got Hadley over near Southend. So if you're in that neck of the woods, do get over there. Monday, as I already mentioned, we've got the workshop up in Peterborough, which I will be at. So I'm going to get up there and pick up a few tips. And that's an important point, because I do a lot of blogging, but you know what? It doesn't matter how much you think you know, you can always learn something else. So, you know, do get yourself booked onto these workshops, because they really are there to help you grow what you're doing. Tuesday, we've got Islington Coffee and L4G Youth in Watford in the evening. On Wednesday, we've got Great Dunmow. We've got Market Deeping, Potter's Bar, Hitchin Drinks, and Harrow CSR Luncheon. So that's a fun-packed action day on Wednesday. Thursday, Ely Coffee, Rickmansworth Coffee, Red Card Drinks, and Facebook with Intent workshop, which I mentioned earlier. And Friday, we've got the coffee in Barnet, which I will be hosting. So that's all the events coming up this week.
And what about announcement and any notices that don't come into the events bit?
Right. The national newsletter should be out this week, so watch out for that. That's a summary of what's happening across the country. We've also got, interestingly mentioned, no details, but L4G Walk, L4G Camping. Right. I'm only mentioning them, right, because the thing about Link4Growth is that as long as the underlying principles, values, and ethics are upheld, we can do what we like, to be honest. And if we've got an event that brings people together, helps them talk and help them share information amongst each other, then it's great. And as long as it's done with all the ethics and principles of Link4Growth, you know, it's down to each of the districts to do what they think is relevant to their district. So lots of interesting things there. If you want to get your district information or something amended on the website, you need to send an email to website@link4growth.biz. Okay, it's a new email address that we've set up for the purposes of ensuring that the website is kept up to date with all the relevant facts and stuff. And I finished the book. So we have a 78-page book that will probably compress down to about 60 pages. It'll be about 3/4 of an hour to an hour and a half read, depending on your reading speed. The purpose of this book really is to take the contents of my head about what Link4Growth is all about and put it into an easy to digest, easy read, so that I can't get to all the events anymore. There's too much going on. In fact, I don't even know about some of the events. So we've got to a point where it's outgrown where we were, and what we need is a place of reference where people can go and pick up the information about Link4Growth, which would effectively be what I would have said had I been there. So that's the purpose of the book. It's finished, and I hope that's going to be published out on Kindle and online, and in fact even in print by the end of June. So
Cool.
that.
And I've actually had a sneak peek at the book, and I have to sort of say it is a very interesting read, and it's also is a very easy read, because I wouldn't have finished reading it, even though it's a very short read, if something doesn't grab my attention and doesn't interest me and engage me. I'm sorry, I can't read that. But I read it the whole way through, and I didn't even get up and take a break in between, because I found it very interesting what you've shared in it, Chris, and the whole Link4Growth ethos and everything. And you go into detail, but you give some insights into things that I think people will be surprised when they pick that book up and read it.
Well, thank you for that.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
One thing I want to mention, and that is, in terms of the national TV, if you haven't looked at the Richard Harrington video that we did, where basically were 4 of us involved in that hangout, please do have a look, because it might give you some ideas about the types of people that are in your community and the types of things that you could perhaps bring up and actually do them for your own district TV shows, as it were. Because this is an election year, and councillors and politicians and people in positions of influence are all going to want to get a piece of the pie in the coming year. And this is a real opportunity for people to get closer to the electorate or closer to the community than they would normally. And that's the power of the L4G TV, is to be able to actually offer an opportunity for people to actually get their message out to a wider audience in the local area. So do bear that in mind. But that's me done, Carol.
Cool. Okay, that was great, and it was longer than usual, but there was an awful lot that we shared there, and it's been really informative for everyone. So I hope everyone's enjoyed it, and Chris and I will be back again next week with another Link4Growth news update.
Absolutely. I mean, I think in future I'm gonna adjust, if you like, what I say and what I share, so that we have a much more compressed show. But I think that some of the things I wanted to say this week is come out of the network. It's come out of people saying, "What's this? What's that?" So I think I've responded really to what people have been asking me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing. It's all about responding to what the people want, not deciding what we want to actually deliver to them. So I'm going to say goodbye. Any last notes before you say goodbye, Chris?
No, I'm out of here. Massively fun-packed week next week, and I'll see you here again next Saturday.
Okay, so thanks for coming, everybody. And if you're watching the recording, thanks for taking the time to watch the recording, and we will see you next week.
Bye now.